Imagine this. You wake up one day and realize you've been living your life in pursuit of someone else's validation. Every text message you sent, every favor you did, and every moment you sacrificed wasn't just a gesture of kindness. It was a bid for recognition, for approval, for love. And yet, despite all your efforts, the other person barely noticed. They were distant, indifferent, or perhaps even dismissive. And now you're left with a question that stings. Why wasn't I enough? Here's the thing. It's not about you. It never was. When someone fails to see your value, it's a reflection of their own limitations, not yours. But the real issue arises when you internalize their indifference, when you start believing that their lack of appreciation says something about your worth. This belief is a trap, one that keeps you stuck in a cycle of chasing, hoping, and waiting. Why do we chase in the first place? On the surface, it might seem like a natural response to wanting something or someone so badly. But beneath the surface lies a deeper truth. Chasing stems from fear. Fear of rejection. Fear of being alone. Fear that if you stop trying, you'll lose them forever. And so, you keep pushing, even when every step forward feels like sinking deeper into quicksand. But let's pause for a moment. What if you didn't need to chase? What if your worth wasn't tied to their approval? What if you could wake up every day feeling whole, confident, and at peace, regardless of who chooses to stay or leave? This isn't a fantasy. It's a mindset shift, and it starts with reclaiming your power. Reclaiming your power means recognizing that your happiness isn't something that exists outside of you. It's not in their text messages or their attention or their affection. It's within you. It always has been. But over time, you may have handed over the keys to your happiness, letting someone else control your emotional well-being. Today, we're taking those keys back. Here's a metaphor. Imagine you're holding a beautiful crystal vase. It's delicate, valuable, and irreplaceable, just like your energy and your self-worth. Now imagine giving that vase to someone who doesn't know how to handle it. They toss it around carelessly, drop it, and leave it shattered. That's what happens when you give your power to someone who doesn't appreciate it. Reclaiming your power means taking back that vase, holding it close, and only sharing it with those who understand its value. But how do you start this process? The first step is awareness. Pay attention to where your energy is going. Are you constantly thinking about someone else, what they're doing, why they haven't called, whether they care? This mental and emotional energy could be redirected toward yourself. Instead of wondering about their thoughts, focus on your own. What do you want? What makes you happy? What kind of life are you building for yourself? Here's a powerful exercise to help shift your mindset. Grab a journal and write down everything you've been chasing. Be honest. List the people, the goals, and the outcomes you've been clinging to. Now, for each item, ask yourself, why am I chasing this? What do I believe it will give me? Often, you'll find that the answer lies in an unmet need, whether it's the need for love, validation, or security. The next step is to ask yourself, how can I meet this need within myself? For example, if you're chasing someone because you crave love, ask yourself how you can show love to yourself. This might mean setting boundaries, treating yourself with kindness, or pursuing activities that make you feel alive and fulfilled. If you're chasing a goal because you think it will bring you security, consider other ways to create stability in your life, financially, emotionally, or otherwise. The key is to stop seeking outside solutions for internal needs. Reclaiming your power also involves letting go of the past. This doesn't mean forgetting what happened or pretending it didn't hurt. It means acknowledging the pain, learning from it, and choosing not to let it define you. As the poet Rumi said, "Don't get lost in your pain. Know that one day your pain will become your cure." The experiences that once left you feeling broken can become the foundation of your strength if you let them. Finally, remember that reclaiming your power isn't a one-time event. It's a daily practice. Every time you choose yourself, whether by saying no to something that doesn't serve you, setting a boundary, or simply taking a moment to breathe and reflect, you're reinforcing the message, "I am worthy. I am enough." As you embark on this journey, keep this mantra in mind. I don't chase, I attract. Let it guide your actions and remind you that true power doesn't come from running after others. It comes from standing still, grounded in your own worth, and knowing that what's meant for you will find its way. Step back. Create space for clarity. Imagine standing in the middle of a crowded room. The noise is overwhelming, everyone is talking, and you can barely hear your own thoughts. That's what it feels like when you're caught in the cycle of chasing. Your focus is entirely outward, consumed by someone else's actions, words, and attention, or lack thereof. But now, imagine stepping out of that room. The noise fades, the air clears, and for the first time, you can hear yourself think. That's the power of stepping back. When you're chasing someone, it's easy to lose sight of what you truly want. Your energy is so tied to their response or their indifference that your own desires become secondary. Stepping back isn't just about creating distance from them. It's about creating space for yourself, space to breathe, space to reflect, space to ask the questions that really matter. What am I doing? Why am I doing this? And is this serving me? Clarity comes when you remove the distractions. But here's the thing. Clarity isn't always comfortable. When you step back, you might be confronted with truths you've been avoiding. Maybe you've been chasing someone who doesn't value you because deep down, you're afraid of being alone. Maybe you've been holding on to a relationship that no longer serves you because you don't know who you are without it. These realizations can be painful, but they're also liberating, because once you see the truth, you can begin to change it. Here's an exercise to help you find clarity. Take out a piece of paper and draw a line down the middle. On the left side, write down everything you're giving to this person, your time, your energy, your emotional labor. Be specific. On the right side, write down everything you're receiving in return. When you look at the two lists, what do you notice? Is there a balance, or is one side much heavier than the other? This simple exercise can be a wake-up call, showing you where your energy is going and whether it's worth it. Stepping back also allows you to see the situation objectively. When you're in the thick of it, it's easy to romanticize the other person, to focus on their potential instead of their reality. But when you create distance, you can start to see them, and the dynamic between you, more clearly. Are they truly as invested as you are? Do their actions align with their words? Do they bring out the best in you, or do they leave you feeling drained and insecure? Here's a quote from Maya Angelou that perfectly captures this idea. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Often we ignore red flags because we're so focused on what we want the relationship to be. But stepping back gives you the perspective to see things as they are, not as you wish they were. But stepping back isn't just about analyzing the relationship. It's also about reconnecting with yourself. When was the last time you asked yourself what you want? Not what they want, not what would make them happy, but what would make you happy. Use this time to explore your own desires, independent of anyone else. What are your goals? What brings you joy? What kind of life do you want to build? Here's a powerful visualization exercise. Close your eyes and imagine your ideal life. Who's in it? What are you doing? How do you feel? Now ask yourself, does the person you've been chasing fit into that vision? Are they aligned with the life you're trying to create, or are they a distraction from it? Often the answer will reveal itself when you allow yourself to imagine a future without them. Stepping back doesn't mean giving up. It means choosing yourself. It's not about shutting the door forever, but about giving yourself the space to decide whether this relationship is truly worth your energy. It's about recognizing that your time and attention are precious, and not everyone deserves unlimited access to them. Here's another perspective to consider. When you're constantly available, constantly chasing, you leave no room for the other person to step up. Stepping back creates a vacuum. It gives them the opportunity to show you how much they value you, or how little. And that, in itself, is clarity. As the philosopher Lao Tzu said, "When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be." Letting go of the need to chase doesn't mean letting go of the possibility of love or connection. It means letting go of the fear that you're not enough. It means trusting that when you step back, the right things and the right people will find their way to you. In this space of clarity, you begin to realize something profound. You are whole on your own. You don't need anyone else to complete you because you were never incomplete to begin with. The person you've been searching for isn't out there, they're within you. Silence, the loudest statement you can make. There's a saying that silence speaks louder than words, and in the context of reclaiming your power, it couldn't be more accurate. Silence isn't just the absence of sound, it's the presence of self-control, self-respect, and self-discovery. When you choose silence, you're sending a powerful message, not just to the person you've been chasing, but to yourself. Imagine this. You've been the one initiating all the conversations, sending the first text, checking in, making plans. And every time you're met with lukewarm responses, or worse, silence. It's exhausting, isn't it? But now, picture this. You stop. You stop reaching out. You stop waiting for their reply. You stop trying to keep the connection alive. Suddenly, the dynamic shifts. The silence you create becomes deafening, not for you, but for them. Silence isn't about punishing the other person. It's about breaking the cycle. It's about taking back the energy you've been pouring into someone else and redirecting it inward. Here's the truth. When you're constantly making noise through texts, calls, or gestures, you leave no space for the other person to miss you. Silence creates that space. It forces them to confront the void left by your absence. But silence isn't just about them. It's for you. It's a chance to pause and reflect. What are you trying to achieve by chasing this person? Are they truly worthy of the effort you're putting in? And most importantly, how do you feel about yourself in this dynamic? Silence gives you the time and space to answer these questions honestly. Here's a practical exercise. The next time you feel the urge to reach out, pause. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, what am I hoping to achieve with this message? If the answer is validation or reassurance, resist the urge. Instead, do something that nurtures you. Journal your feelings. Go for a walk or call a friend who uplifts you. Silence isn't just the absence of action, it's the presence of intention. Let's explore another aspect of silence, its ability to create curiosity. When you're constantly available, constantly reaching out, the other person knows exactly where they stand with you. There's no mystery, no intrigue, no reason for them to wonder about you. But when you go silent, you become an enigma. They start to question, why haven't they texted? What's changed? Are they moving on? This curiosity can be a powerful force, often compelling them to reach out to you. But here's the key. You're not being silent to provoke a reaction from them. If you go silent with the expectation that they'll come running back, you're still giving them control over your happiness. True silence comes from a place of self-respect. It's about choosing not to engage with someone who isn't meeting your standards. It's about valuing your peace over their attention. Here's a quote from the Stoic philosopher Epictetus. "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." This isn't just about conversations with others. It's about the conversation you have with yourself. When you're silent, you can hear your own thoughts more clearly. You can identify the patterns and behaviors that have been holding you back and begin to change them. Silence also allows you to reclaim your narrative. When you're constantly chasing, the story becomes about them, what they're doing, how they're feeling, whether they'll ever choose you. But when you go silent, you take back the pen. You stop being a supporting character in their story and start being the main character in your own. Consider this. Every great work of art has moments of silence, pauses that create tension, anticipation, and depth. Your life is no different. Silence isn't emptiness. It's what gives meaning to the moments of action. It's what allows you to reset, refocus, and rebuild. Here's another perspective. Silence is a boundary. It's a way of saying, I will not participate in a dynamic that diminishes my value. It's a way of protecting your energy and preserving your peace. And when you set this boundary, you teach others how to treat you, not through words, but through actions. But silence isn't always easy. It requires discipline and patience. In a world that's constantly buzzing with notifications, silence can feel uncomfortable, even unnatural. But discomfort is where growth happens. Every time you resist the urge to break the silence, you're strengthening your self-control. You're proving to yourself that you don't need anyone else's attention to feel whole. Here's a mantra to carry with you. In my silence, I find my strength. Repeat this to yourself whenever the urge to reach out arises. Let it remind you that your power doesn't come from their response. It comes from your ability to stand still and stay true to yourself. As the poet Rumi said, "When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about." In silence, you reconnect with your soul. You remember that your worth isn't tied to what anyone else thinks, says, or does. It's inherent. It's unshakable. In the end, silence isn't about winning or losing. It's about choosing peace over chaos, self-respect over desperation, and inner strength over external validation. And when you embrace this silence, you'll find that it speaks volumes about who you are and what you deserve. Reclaim your time, your most precious resource. Time is the one thing you can never get back. Unlike money, which you can earn, or material possessions which can be replaced, time is finite. Yet, how often do we squander it on people who don't value it? How many hours have you spent staring at your phone, waiting for a reply that never comes? How many days have you wasted analyzing someone's actions, wondering if they care as much as you do? The truth is, every second you spend chasing someone who doesn't appreciate you is a second you could have used to build something extraordinary for yourself. Reclaiming your time starts with understanding its value. Imagine your time as a bank account. Every day you're given 24 hours, 1,440 minutes to spend. How are you using that time? Are you investing it in activities and people that bring you joy, growth, and fulfillment? Or are you spending it on someone who takes without giving, leaving your emotional bank account overdrawn? Here's a practical exercise. At the end of each day, write down how you spent your time. Be honest. Did you scroll through social media hoping to see what they're up to? Did you reread old messages, searching for hidden meanings? Did you put off your own goals because you were too busy worrying about theirs? When you see your habits laid out in black and white, it can be a powerful wake-up call. Reclaiming your time also means setting priorities. What truly matters to you? What are the goals and dreams you've been putting on hold while chasing someone else's attention? Make a list of the things that light you up, the hobbies, passions, and projects that make you feel alive. Then make a commitment to spend at least 1 hour a day on those things. It might not seem like much, but over time, those hours add up. They become the foundation of a life that's rich, fulfilling, and entirely your own. But here's the challenge. Reclaiming your time often means saying no. No to late-night texts from people who only think of you when they're bored. No to plans that leave you feeling drained instead of energized. No to relationships that take more than they give. Saying no isn't easy, especially if you're used to being a people pleaser. But every time you say no to something that doesn't serve you, you're saying yes to yourself. Here's a quote from Steve Jobs that captures this perfectly. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. This isn't just about relationships, it's about every area of your life. Are you living according to your values, or are you letting someone else's priorities dictate your choices? When you reclaim your time, you're not just taking back your schedule, you're taking back your agency. Now let's address the elephant in the room. What if they notice your absence? What if they suddenly start texting, calling, or trying to pull you back into their orbit? This is where your resolve is tested. Reclaiming your time doesn't mean you cut people off entirely. It means you engage on your terms. If they reach out, ask yourself, do I genuinely want to connect with this person, or am I responding out of habit or obligation? If it's the latter, give yourself permission to pause, reflect, and respond, or not, when you're ready. Reclaiming your time also involves shifting your mindset from scarcity to abundance. When you're chasing someone, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking, if I don't hold on to this person, I'll never find anyone else. But the truth is, the world is full of opportunities for connection, growth, and joy. When you let go of what's not meant for you, you make room for what is. Let's consider an example. Imagine you've been chasing someone who only gives you scraps of their attention. A quick text here, a half-hearted compliment there. Meanwhile, you've been neglecting your own goals. You've been putting off that fitness routine, that creative project, that trip you've always wanted to take. What would happen if you redirected all that energy? What could you accomplish if you stopped giving them your time and started giving it to yourself? Here's a visualization exercise to help solidify this idea. Close your eyes and imagine your ideal day. From the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, what does your perfect day look like? Who are you spending it with? What are you doing? Now compare that vision to your current reality. If the person you've been chasing isn't part of that ideal day, or if their presence feels more like an obligation than a joy, it's time to realign your priorities. Time is precious, but it's also fluid. Just because you've spent days, months, or even years chasing someone doesn't mean you have to spend one more second doing so. As the saying goes, The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. It's never too late to start reclaiming your time and building a life that reflects your worth. Finally, remember this: the way you spend your time is a reflection of what you value. If you value yourself, your time will show it. You'll invest it in people, activities, and goals that honor your worth. And when you do that, you'll find that your time becomes not just a resource, but a source of joy, fulfillment, and empowerment. Glow up, transformation inside and out. The term glow up has become a buzzword in recent years, often associated with physical transformations, weight loss, new wardrobes, or perfect skin. But the true essence of a glow up goes far beyond appearances. It's not just about how you look. It's about how you feel, how you think, and how you show up in the world. A true glow up is a complete transformation that radiates from the inside out. Let's start with the physical aspect, not because it's the most important, but because it's often the gateway to deeper changes. Taking care of your body is an act of self-respect. It's not about fitting into society's standards of beauty. It's about honoring the vessel that carries you through life. This means eating foods that nourish you, moving your body in ways that feel good, and getting enough rest to recharge. These aren't superficial acts. They're foundational to your overall well-being. Imagine waking up in the morning with energy and clarity, ready to take on the day. That's the result of consistent self-care. It's not about perfection. It's about progress. Maybe you start with small steps, drinking more water, going for a daily walk, or cutting back on processed foods. Over time, these small habits build momentum, and before you know it, you've created a lifestyle that supports your health and vitality. But let's not stop there. A glow-up isn't just about your body, it's about your mind. What thoughts are you feeding yourself every day? Are you constantly replaying negative narratives, or are you filling your mind with positivity and possibility? Your inner dialogue shapes your reality. If you're telling yourself, "I'm not good enough," that's the energy you'll carry into the world. But if you start saying, "I am worthy, I am capable, I am enough," you'll begin to see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. Here's a practical exercise. Every morning, stand in front of a mirror and say 3 affirmations out loud. They can be as simple as, "I am strong, I am confident, I am deserving of love and success." At first, it might feel awkward or forced, but over time, these words will start to sink in. You'll notice a shift in how you see yourself and how others respond to you. Now let's talk about the emotional glow-up. This is where the real transformation happens. Emotional growth means learning to process your feelings in healthy ways. It means acknowledging your pain without letting it define you, and finding constructive outlets for anger, sadness, or frustration. It's about building resilience, the ability to bounce back stronger after setbacks. One way to foster emotional growth is through journaling. At the end of each day, take 5 minutes to write about what went well, what didn't, and how you felt. This simple practice can help you identify patterns, release pent-up emotions, and gain clarity on what matters most to you. It's like a daily check-in with your soul. Let's not forget the mental glow-up, expanding your knowledge and sharpening your mind. When was the last time you learned something new, just for the joy of it? Whether it's picking up a new language, exploring a creative hobby, or diving into a subject that fascinates you, learning keeps your mind engaged and your spirit alive. As the saying goes, a mind that is stretched by a new experience can never go back to its old dimensions. Consider this. Every skill you develop, every book you read, every class you take adds value to your life. It's not about impressing others. It's about becoming the best version of yourself for you. When you invest in your growth, you're sending a message to yourself and the world. I am worth the effort. A true glow-up also involves your social life. Who are the people you surround yourself with? Do they inspire and uplift you, or do they drain your energy? As Jim Rohn famously said, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." Take a close look at your relationships. Are they aligned with the person you're becoming? If not, it might be time to create some distance. Here's a challenging but essential part of the glow-up process: letting go of relationships that no longer serve you. This doesn't mean cutting people off without explanation, but it does mean prioritizing your well-being. Sometimes, the people who were right for one phase of your life aren't meant to come with you to the next. And that's okay. Growth often requires letting go. Finally, let's talk about the spiritual glow-up, the connection you have with something greater than yourself. This could be your faith, your sense of purpose, or simply the awe you feel when you watch a sunrise or gaze at the stars. A spiritual glow-up isn't about following a specific path. It's about finding what resonates with you and nurturing that connection. It's about asking the big questions. Why am I here? What do I want to contribute to the world? How can I live in alignment with my values? As you embark on this journey of transformation, remember that a glow-up isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about becoming a little better, a little stronger, and a little wiser every day. And it's not just for you. It's for the people you'll inspire along the way. Here's a quote from Maya Angelou to carry with you. "Success is liking yourself, liking what you do, and liking how you do it. When you like yourself, truly, deeply, and unapologetically, you radiate an energy that's impossible to ignore. That's the glow-up. It's not about being the best. It's about being your best." Detachment, freedom from the outcome. Detachment is one of the most misunderstood concepts when it comes to personal growth. Many people hear the word and think it means indifference, cutting yourself off emotionally, or pretending not to care. But true detachment isn't about shutting down your feelings. It's about finding freedom. Freedom from the need to control outcomes, from the fear of losing someone, and from the constant pressure to prove your worth. Let's start with a common scenario. You've done everything in your power to show someone how much you care. You've sent the texts, made the plans, gone out of your way to accommodate their needs. But no matter what you do, it never feels like enough. You're stuck in a cycle of trying harder, hoping that if you just do a little more, they'll finally reciprocate. Detachment is about breaking that cycle. It's about realizing that your worth isn't tied to their response, and that your happiness doesn't depend on their actions. Here's the thing. When you're overly attached to an outcome, you give away your power. You're constantly reacting, waiting for their text, analyzing their words, and adjusting your behavior to fit their expectations. But when you detach, you take back control. You focus on what you can do, not on how they'll respond. You show up as your authentic self and let go of the rest. Here's a perspective-shifting quote from the Bhagavad Gita. "You have the right to your actions, but not to the fruits of your actions." This ancient wisdom reminds us that while we can control what we do, we can't control how others respond or what the outcome will be. And that's okay. Detachment doesn't mean giving up. It means doing your best and then trusting that whatever happens is for your highest good. One of the most powerful aspects of detachment is the peace it brings. When you're no longer fixated on someone else's behavior, you free up mental and emotional energy. You stop overthinking every interaction. You stop waiting for validation. Instead, you start living in the present moment, appreciating what you have rather than obsessing over what you don't. Here's an exercise to help cultivate detachment. The next time you feel yourself spiraling into worry or overthinking, pause. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, what's within my control right now? Focus on that. Maybe it's your tone of voice, your body language, or the way you choose to spend your evening. By grounding yourself in what you can control, you shift your attention away from what's beyond your reach. Detachment is also about trusting the process. When you let go of the need to control everything, you open yourself up to new possibilities. Sometimes, what we think we want isn't what's best for us. And sometimes, letting go of something that's not working makes room for something better to come into your life. Think about it this way. Imagine you're holding on to a rope with all your strength. The rope represents the relationship or outcome you're trying to control. The harder you hold on, the more your hands hurt. But if you let go, your hands are free to heal, to rest, and to reach for something else. Detachment is that moment of letting go, not out of defeat, but out of faith. Here's another way to think about detachment. It's about focusing on the journey, not the destination. When you're overly attached to a specific outcome, you miss the beauty of the present moment. But when you detach, you start to see the value in the process itself, the lessons you're learning, the strength you're building, and the person you're becoming. Let's look at a real-life example. Imagine you're working hard for a promotion at work. You've put in the hours, completed the projects, and proven your capabilities. But the decision isn't up to you. It's in the hands of your boss or the company. If you're overly attached to getting the promotion, you might become anxious, stressed, and even resentful if things don't go your way. But if you focus on doing your best and let go of the outcome, you'll feel more at peace, regardless of the result. And here's the magic. When you're detached, you often perform better because you're not weighed down by fear or desperation. The same principle applies to relationships. When you detach, you stop trying to force things to happen. You stop chasing, convincing, or bending over backward to make someone stay. Instead, you focus on being your authentic self and trust that the right people will gravitate toward you naturally. Detachment isn't about apathy. It's about confidence. Confidence in yourself, in your journey, and in the idea that what's meant for you will never pass you by. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "Don't seek for things to happen the way you want them to. Rather, wish that what happens will happen the way it happens, then you will be happy." This doesn't mean you stop caring or striving for your goals. It means you stop resisting reality. You stop fighting against what is and start working with it. Finally, detachment is about choosing peace over chaos. When you're detached, you're no longer at the mercy of someone else's actions or the unpredictability of external circumstances. You're grounded, centered, and in control of your own emotions. And that's where true freedom lies. As you practice detachment, remember this mantra: I release what I cannot control and trust that everything is unfolding for my highest good. Say it to yourself whenever you feel the pull to chase, worry, or overthink. Let it remind you that your happiness isn't tied to any specific outcome. It's something you carry within you no matter what happens. Self-worth, the unshakable foundation. Self-worth is the cornerstone of everything you do. It's the foundation upon which all your decisions, relationships, and achievements are built. When you truly know your worth, you stop settling for less than you deserve. You stop chasing people who don't see your value, and you start attracting those who do. But here's the truth. Self-worth isn't something you're born with or something others can give you. It's something you cultivate day by day through your actions and mindset. Let's start with a simple but powerful truth. You are enough, not because of what you've achieved, how you look, or how others perceive you. You are enough simply because you exist. This might feel hard to believe if you've spent years seeking validation from external sources. Maybe you've been chasing relationships, achievements, or approval, hoping they'll fill the void. But the void isn't something that can be filled from the outside. It's something you heal from within. So, how do you begin to build unshakable self-worth? The first step is awareness. Pay attention to the stories you tell yourself about who you are and what you're worth. Are they rooted in confidence, or are they tainted by insecurity? For example, do you catch yourself thinking, "I'm not good enough," or "I'll be happy when they finally notice me"? These narratives are limiting beliefs, and they're holding you back. The good news is that you have the power to rewrite them. Here's a practical exercise. Grab a journal and write down 3 negative beliefs you have about yourself. Then, for each one, write a counter-belief, a positive statement that reflects your true worth. For example, if your belief is, "I'm not good at anything," your counter-belief might be, "I am capable of learning and growing." Read these positive statements to yourself every day until they start to replace the negative ones. Building self-worth also means keeping the promises you make to yourself. Every time you set a goal and follow through, no matter how small, you're reinforcing the message, "I can trust myself. I am capable." Conversely, every time you break a promise to yourself, you chip away at your confidence. Start with small, achievable commitments, like drinking more water, going for a daily walk, or spending 10 minutes a day on a passion project. Each promise you keep is a brick in the foundation of your self-worth. Another important aspect of self-worth is setting boundaries. When you know your value, you stop tolerating behaviors that diminish it. This means saying no to people and situations that drain your energy. It means walking away from relationships that don't align with your values. And it means protecting your time, your energy, and your peace of mind as acts of self-respect. Here's a quote from Brené Brown that perfectly encapsulates this idea. "Daring to set boundaries is about having the courage to love ourselves, even when we risk disappointing others." Setting boundaries isn't easy, especially if you're used to people-pleasing. But every time you say no to something that doesn't serve you, you're saying yes to yourself, and that's a powerful act of self-worth. Let's not forget the role of self-compassion. Often, we're our own harshest critics. We beat ourselves up for every mistake, every flaw, and every perceived failure. But self-compassion is the antidote to this. It's about treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you'd offer a friend. When you're compassionate with yourself, you create a safe space for growth. You allow yourself to make mistakes, learn from them, and move forward without shame. Here's an exercise to practice self-compassion. The next time you catch yourself being overly critical, pause and ask, "Would I say this to someone I love?" If the answer is no, reframe your inner dialogue. Replace the criticism with encouragement. For example, instead of saying, "I can't believe I messed that up," try saying, "It's okay to make mistakes. I'm learning and growing." Now, let's address comparison, a self-worth killer that's become even more pervasive in the age of social media. Every time you scroll through Instagram or Facebook, it's easy to fall into the trap of comparing your life to someone else's highlight reel. But here's the truth. Comparison is a thief of joy. It blinds you to your own progress and convinces you that you're not enough. Instead of comparing yourself to others, compare yourself to who you were yesterday. Celebrate your growth, no matter how small. Maybe you handled a difficult situation with more grace than you would have a year ago. Maybe you finally started that project you've been dreaming about. These small wins are proof that you're evolving, and they deserve to be acknowledged. Here's a mantra to combat comparison. I am on my own path, and my journey is unfolding perfectly for me. Repeat this to yourself whenever you feel the pull to compare. Let it remind you that your worth isn't tied to anyone else's journey. You are enough, exactly as you are. Finally, let's talk about celebrating yourself. When was the last time you acknowledged your own accomplishments? When was the last time you gave yourself credit for how far you've come? Self-worth grows when you take the time to celebrate your wins, no matter how small. Maybe you got out of bed on a tough day. Maybe you stood up for yourself in a situation where you used to stay silent. These moments matter. They're evidence of your strength and resilience. As Maya Angelou once said, you may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them. Your self-worth isn't about what happens to you. It's about how you respond. It's about recognizing your value, even when others fail to see it. It's about knowing that you are enough, not because of what you do, but simply because you are. In the end, self-worth isn't something you find. It's something you build. It's the result of consistent, intentional actions that honor who you are and what you deserve. And when you fully embrace your worth, you'll find that the world responds in kind. You'll attract people, opportunities, and experiences that align with your value. Because when you stop settling, you make space for what's truly meant for you. Conclusion: living a life that reflects your power. Imagine for a moment that your life is a blank canvas and you hold the brush. Every decision, every action, every boundary you set is a stroke of color. For too long, perhaps, you've let others paint on your canvas. You've allowed their opinions, actions, and inactions to dictate the shape and shade of your life. But now, it's time to take back that brush. It's time to create a masterpiece that reflects your worth, your values, and your dreams. Living a life that reflects your power isn't about perfection. It's about intention. It's about choosing to show up for yourself every day, even when it's hard. It's about recognizing that you are the architect of your happiness, and no one else can build it for you. This journey won't always be easy. There will be moments of doubt, setbacks, and discomfort. But every step you take toward reclaiming your power is a step toward freedom. Freedom from chasing, freedom from insecurity, and freedom from settling for less than you deserve. Let's start with the foundation, your mindset. The way you think about yourself shapes everything else. If you believe you're unworthy, you'll make decisions that reflect that belief. You'll stay in relationships that drain you, accept jobs that don't fulfill you, and settle for a life that feels small. But if you believe you're valuable, capable, and deserving of joy, your actions will align with those beliefs. You'll set boundaries, take risks, and pursue your passions with confidence. Here's a mantra to guide you. I am worthy of love, respect, and happiness, and I will not settle for less. Write it down. Say it out loud every morning. Let it become a truth that anchors you in moments of doubt. Now, let's talk about action. Mindset is important, but it's only the beginning. Living a life that reflects your power requires action, consistent, intentional action. Start with small steps. Maybe it's saying no to something that doesn't align with your values. Maybe it's carving out time each day to work on a goal that excites you. Maybe it's simply taking a walk and reminding yourself of the beauty in the world around you. These small actions, repeated over time, create a ripple effect. They build momentum, and before you know it, they've transformed your life. But what happens when you face resistance? What happens when the people around you don't support your growth? This is where boundaries come in. Boundaries aren't just about protecting your energy. They're about honoring your worth. When you set a boundary, you're saying, I deserve to be treated with respect, and I will not tolerate anything less. This isn't easy, especially if you're used to people-pleasing. But every time you enforce a boundary, you reinforce the message that you value yourself. Here's a quote from Eleanor Roosevelt to keep in mind. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. This is your permission to stop giving that consent. You're not obligated to stay in spaces, relationships, or situations that diminish you. You have the right to walk away, to say no, and to prioritize your peace. Living a powerful life also means embracing vulnerability. This might seem counterintuitive. After all, isn't power about being strong? But true strength comes from authenticity. It comes from being honest about your feelings, your struggles, and your desires. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you create deeper connections with others and, more importantly, with yourself. Here's a beautiful line from Brené Brown. Vulnerability is not weakness, it's our greatest measure of courage. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's acting despite it. It's standing in your truth, even when it feels uncomfortable, and when you do, you give others permission to do the same. As you continue on this journey, remember that growth isn't linear. There will be days when you feel unstoppable, and days when you feel like you're back at square one. That's okay. Progress isn't about never falling, it's about always getting back up. Every setback is an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to come back stronger. Let's reflect on the idea of letting go. Often we hold on to people and situations out of fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of being alone, fear of starting over. But letting go isn't about loss. It's about making room. It's about creating space for new opportunities, relationships, and experiences that align with who you're becoming. As the author Paulo Coelho wrote, if you're brave enough to say goodbye, life will reward you with a new hello. Think of letting go as an act of faith, faith that what's meant for you will find you, and what isn't will fall away. Finally, let's revisit the idea of self-love. Self-love isn't just a buzzword, it's a practice. It's the way you speak to yourself, the choices you make, and the standards you set. It's about showing yourself the same kindness, compassion, and respect you'd offer to someone you love. When you love yourself fully, you stop seeking love from places that can't give it to you. You become your own source of joy, and everything else becomes a bonus. Here's a mantra to close this journey. I am the author of my story, and I choose to write a life that reflects my worth. Repeat this to yourself whenever you feel doubt creeping in. Let it remind you that you are in control, you are powerful, and you deserve a life that feels as good as it looks. In the end, reclaiming your power isn't just about stepping back or going silent. It's about stepping into your truth, owning your worth, and living a life that's unapologetically yours. It's about becoming the person you've always been capable of being. And when you do, you'll find that the world responds in kind. You'll attract the people, opportunities, and experiences that align with your value, not because you chased them, but because you became a magnet for them. This is your time, your story, your life. Take the brush and paint it in bold, beautiful colors. The masterpiece is already within you. It's time to let it shine.